Hello, my friends. I'm back. I am your local art witch, and today I wanted to discuss something a little different. Cards, crystals, candles. Popular witchcraft comes with a lot of things that can make someone feel as if they need to spend loads of money. And even worse, there's people who can't safely have such obvious witchy tools. Most of my viewers here are at least 20, but the need to practice in secret is something I am very aware of. Maybe you're a minor, or in a house or culture where it would be dangerous for you to practice openly. This subject has been weighing on me for a little bit, especially as I've been watching certain religious groups getting louder. It feels like I'm watching a new rise of satanic panic. However, I'm not really here to discuss that. This video is probably going to be a little all over the place, but I want to talk about stealthcraft. At least that's what I've been calling it. I was raised in a very conservative culture that seemed to see Satan around every bush, every shadow, and my belongings were gone through regularly. I was very close, more than once, to becoming homeless for my curiosity. If this is you, I get it. I hope you're watching this in a safe place and delete your history after. I want to offer options with this series to be able to practice safely. A beautiful thing about witchcraft and paganism is that it thrives in secrecy. Many people have gone through needing to practice in secret, generations of us. And it doesn't disempower your magic by being secretive. You don't need tarot cards. There are other ways of divining if that's something that you're interested in. Crystals aren't necessary, especially if that's going to alert people around you if it's dangerous. Although perhaps feigning an interest in a rock collection may enable you to have some. I found those little National Geographic rock collections that you can get. They're kind of in sets of 12 sometimes. You probably saw them in your Scholastic book orders when you were a child. Those can be an in. Tea lights, you can find those at dollar stores, and those might be feasible for you as long as you're not putting plant material on them. While I don't have personal experience with a lot of different denominations and religions, I am fairly comfortable with talking about extreme evangelical Christianity, and I'm not meaning to insult or offend anyone who is currently a Christian, but I think sharing these tips would have helped me at the time. I grew up in foster care, and there were homes I lived in where my bags were checked before I could enter their house. Like every day after school, my book bag would be checked. Homes where I wasn't allowed to have a door on my bedroom. Sometimes I wasn't even allowed to hang a blanket in the doorway, so absolutely no privacy. Homes where they would go through my room regularly to ensure that I didn't have anything that they wouldn't have approved of. I have watched more than once as I was brought into people's backyards to have them burn my items that they didn't approve of. One person I lived with found a tarot deck that I managed to smuggle into the house. It was a gift from a sister of mine, and I was so excited to have it because the common knowledge at the time was that it had to be gifted to you. You could not buy it yourself. And I knew that technically I wasn't supposed to have it, so I hid it between my mattress and my box spring. And while I was at school, they must have gone through my room and they found it. This person I lived with, would not touch the item, as if demons would go into her body as soon as she did. We had to get the deck out of the house. She had a little pit in the backyard. This was common in this town, like just a small metal tire thing that you can burn little scraps or whatever. She was a pastor, a holy leader. So we burnt the carts. Then she went and sprinkled holy water and prayed through the house to expel the demons. She prayed for these giant angels to be surrounding and protecting her house. Crucifixes were quickly put up onto my walls, and I was called to the church and forced to participate in a ritual in which they exorcised me. It wasn't violent or anything, but it was a very upsetting event that has stayed with me. It was a lot. There, at least in Christianity, there is a surprising amount of magic and esotericism built within it. When I was younger, I would devour any apocryphal text that I could get a hold of. It was something I was honestly interested in, but it did make those around me uncomfortable. I had the opportunity to live with a few religious leaders, like I said, and ones who had gone through seminary. I wanted to know more, to know everything about this God of Abraham. I enjoyed reading the direct English translation and seeing the Greek letters on the opposing page. There is an amazing wealth of information that you can use and adapt to your uses. Angelology would probably be safe for you to look into, at least from a Christian perspective. I can't say what it's like for other religions. For altars, I was thinking about how one could research as to how the ancient Jews and Christians set up their spots of worship. This way, you can still have a few tools, a place to focus, and many I used to know would not have had issues with a little prayer corner. Just don't let on what you're actually doing. Do not tell them that you're meditating. Don't do the yoga because they disapprove of that. Pagans use the pentagram as a symbol of protection. The symbol of the god your culture supports can work very similarly. Often, I had seen the cross be used as protection and warding. You even see it in films, warding off vampires and the like. We used to do this exercise in worship where you envision just being, this is odd now that I'm out of it, but envisioning being covered in the blood of Jesus as a way of disguising yourself from God because he can't look at us in our fallen state. We're able to get through to him by having Jesus's blood all over us. Tea magic is pretty accessible. Buying teas, you can even use the herbs within the tea bags very secretively, but tea magic in general, just brewing a tea, making it with intention, drinking it with intention. It's invisible. It's easy to miss from people who don't know what you're doing, but it is no less effective for that. Cord magic, I was thinking, should be fairly safe. Think sewing, knitting, crochet. Those are fantastic ways to have little magic items around you. You could make hats, coasters. Coasters are fantastic because you can make very, very interesting, cute, whatever type of coasters that are going to be used, but also you can look at and the full meaning of that item. And that's really beautiful. When adapting things to your own use, it's about intention. You can take the association that you've been taught, use it for your own purposes. I was also thinking that the study of plants should be safe, especially if it's posed as, learning about God's creation and how validating learning these things have been. For example, willow bark can be used to help with headaches. That used to be taught to me as proof that God created everything. Why would these certain plant items help us if God didn't, do all the things that he did? Herbology, learning about plants and how they can benefit you, how many useful items in the plant realm can be helpful, I think is probably a really good place to start. I know it can feel gross that you have to be sneaky, that you have to lie. I want you to remember that you should not have to, but it's not you that is the problem in this situation. You're just looking to practice. I have found witchcraft to be very validating, very freeing. I don't worship anything or anyone, but I do have friendships, relationships with archetypes, and it's just a different way of being. I feel like it's so much healthier. I no longer see myself as inherently gross or sinful, full of evil, and my hope is that nobody has to feel that way, ever. The next few videos, I would like to talk a little bit more about these different types of crafting ways so you can practice but still be safe. And this even goes to people who are no longer living with their parents, but you could be in a culture or in a friend group or something like that where it's not safe for you. You could lose a lot of relationships. And witchcraft in general, paganism, they don't want you to be set apart, to be shunned. I hope that's helpful as a start. I know this was sort of all over the place, but it's something that's been really weighing on me. I have been your local art witch, and I'll see you all again next time. Thanks for everything. Bye-bye for now.